What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Your Sports Digest. Tuesday morning episode, another long weekend we've had here. A lot of sports going on, basketball, baseball, a lot of soccer. We'll get to that. Team USA was able to play twice since we've last spoke. We will definitely get to that. And Summer League, NBA transactions, the All Star game, whatever else is going on in sports, we'll cover all of that. I'm your host, Alex McNinch. What a weekend in sports. I hope everybody had a nice a nice weekend, and spending time with family and friends and getting to sit back and watch a lot of these games. I know I did. I know I got to enjoy all of these different events that were going on TV, and now we're here to recap and talk about it all. We got a loaded episode here today. Follow us on all of our on our social medias at Your Sports Digest, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Go to YouTube, Your Sports Digest as well. Got shorts there if you don't have TikTok or whatever. Go to yoursportsdigest.com. We'll have more stuff coming up soon there, but have my old mock draft and draft player rankings as we go through the Summer League and see what types of players are going to have breakout years. Also have short-form content on all my social medias about who's going to be some of the guys to watch out for and all the breaking news that happens every single day in the world of sports. We'll have all of that in short-form content there, as I'm sure that some of you guys have discovered me from there as of late. So keep following there, keep sharing along, and let's just get into it. The biggest thing to talk about is the World Cup. It's obviously the biggest thing in the world right now, with tons of countries still remain in the bracket as we head into the last day of the round of 32 before the round of 16 quarterfinals tomorrow, with Morocco, I think Morocco and France. Let me check. Yeah, France and Morocco tomorrow in the first game of the round of 16. So quarterfinal. But mainly what we're here to talk about today is the home country in the U.S. We had last week's episode, and I didn't end up recording one late in the week just because traveling and spending time with people. Just know it was whatever. But the first game in the knockout stage was the U.S. obviously taking on Bosnia, and that was a lot of hype around that game about how Team USA was carrying a lot of momentum from the group stages, even against Turkey, where you have a loss. It still looked like that team was coming together a little bit and understanding, how to play from behind, how to play with men down. And you go into that first game, the round of 64, and Team USA pulls out a win 2-0. Obviously, the biggest thing to talk about in that game was the Flo Balogun red card and ultimately suspension for the next game from FIFA. Quickly, since it feels like everybody's talked about it without beating a dead horse here, that should not have been a red card. I'm not a soccer super fan. I don't religiously watch the sport, but I've watched enough and I care enough to where I know rules, and I've seen red cards before. And if we're qualifying that as a red card for a guy who is coming and landing on the ground, trying to find his footing on the ground, and accidentally steps on a guy's foot who's behind him, by the way, which he can't even see. So there's no ill intent to that at all. That's a red card, whatever. Yellow, that's fine. Red card was unacceptable. He was out of that game. Luckily, it didn't matter for the U.S. In this game, and they were able to be able to get the win. But obviously, they created a lot of controversy, and I'm sure, as everybody knows by now, the whole debacle around the U.S. appealing it and President Trump getting himself involved and talking to the FIFA officials and trying to advocate for Balogun to be able to play in the round of 32 against Belgium. Ultimately, the FIFA flipped the decision and removed the suspension for a red card in the round of 32 against Belgium. that even set off more controversy and more issues around the country and around the world, where other countries are feeling, oh, just because the U.S. are the host team, that's why they got this special treatment. But we don't want to sit here and talk about how Cristiano Ronaldo was suspended for an egregious red card in his season's play, or the last time they played in international play. And he should have been suspended for games in the World Cup, but they kind of just swept that under the rug and let him play because he's Cristiano Ronaldo. So, there's not just special treatment to the hometown team. Plus, if that happened to any other country, the entire country would be feeling the exact same way as the U.S. did for Balogun. So that immediately before the round of 32 game against Belgium, there was already enough controversy and enough talk around, the special treatment from these officials and allowing him to play. So you already knew that coming into this game, there was going to be a lot of emotions from both sides, from the U.S. side as well as the Belgium side, because if you're Belgium, you're thinking about it like, we game planned for him not to play, and now he's getting to play. That doesn't just happen regularly. So things change. Obviously, it didn't affect Belgium too much. They end up winning, unfortunately, last night, 4-1. The first goal was just an absolute terrible defensive stand from the U.S., and Matt Freese in goal was just kind of literally taking to his last name and frozen, just watching it. The U.S. come down with a free kick from Malik Tillman, scores a goal on a free kick. It was an absolute beautiful goal, and you start to get this momentum for the U.S., and not even like 5 minutes later, here comes Belgium down the field, and Tim Ream gets dunked on, 360 windmill dunked on, with a header into goal for Belgium to get right back on top. The third goal, I don't even want to talk about just how absolutely piss poor Matt Freese played that ball, and the momentum just completely shot. They scored the fourth goal while the U.S. were trying to push as many chips as they could into the field to be able to get that second goal to pull them within one. And it was just an overall beatdown from Belgium. They were the better team. They looked like the better team. They showed you they were the better team. Philo Balogun had no impact on that game really at all. Christian Pulisic left the game early because of an injury. You sub in Berhalter, and he brought a nice little injection of energy, which is great to see. But ultimately, it was too late for any of that. Serginho Dest, I mean, I don't know who is out there that's worse than him on the field. I mean, I know Anthony Robinson did not have his best game. Tim Ream's supposed to be your veteran in the defense, and he was not great either. But Serginho Dest, boy, oh boy, that guy stinks. Like, he is, like, last World Cup, or I guess it was, I don't know if it was the Olympics or the World Cup that I remember watching, and I was like, okay, this guy's got a little bit of energy, but you could tell that he was kind of like, he wasn't made for the big stage yet. I just remember, I can't get this picture out of my head yesterday of watching the game and him having a breakaway down the field, dribbling the ball, and a defender closes out on him, and instead of trying to fake him out or slow down or try to cross it and make a pass to continue the play, he dribbles right into the defender, flops it onto the ground, and lays there like he got fouled when he got his lunch taken from him. And it's like, dude, like, what are we doing here? Like, as somebody who, again, is not a soccer aficionado, I even know that that's not something you want to try to do there. I know there's other options that you might want to do to continue this breakaway, but I hate to see it for the United States. They had a good run. They gave us as a country a little bit of hope now for the next World Cup in 2030. Hopefully getting some of these younger guys in the system some more experience when they're going to get to play in league play, and as the international friendlies continue to go on, the CONCACAF or whatever it is, whatever the other tournament we're going to end up playing in with Mexico and all of them are going to be. But I hope that the next time around we're going to be able to learn from the experience that we had and see, like, there's one moment that all it takes is just a snap of the fingers and everything changes. And it was the terrible play from Matt Freese in goal and the Tim Ream getting dunked on right after we had all the momentum. Those are the moments right there that completely flip the entirety of the game. The goaltending was a question. It feels like going into the World Cup with Freeze and Turner, both Matts. Seems like we just need to get anybody named Matt out of goal for the Team USA side of things, because the last two that we have, Matt, not very good. Let's try to find a Tim. Our last Tim, very good. Shout out Memphis native Tim Howard. Let's try to find a Tim that can come play in goal. We're gonna find some good name history within all that, but it sucks to see. I think a lot of people are gonna stop being invested with it, which sucks. Am I gonna follow it religiously? Probably not as hard as I was when, I'm happy that Team USA was in. Like the games today, I'll watch, but I won't spend all my attention to putting my eyes on the TV to watch. But I still will follow along, and it's been fun to watch these games. I mean, countries like Argentina and France and Spain and England have all been tested pretty well. Argentina against was it Cape Verde? Were pushed to the very last minute. I can't remember if it was Argentina versus Cape Verde or the DR, and then France was Cape Verde or the DR. I can't remember which one was which, but I'm gonna try to fact check it real quick just to make sure I'm not. Or France was Paraguay. France was Paraguay, and Cabo Verde was Argentina's game. Argentina got pushed to extra time, and I thought for sure they were on the brinks of losing that game. But Argentina finds a way to win. Obviously, France was playing as Paraguay, and Paraguay was playing very aggressive the entire game, just trying to get under the skin of guys like Mbappe and Pog. Like they were really, really pushing the physical side. They were flopping a lot, but they were just trying to play mental games to get into the head of France and force them to make a mistake. And they played a very good game against them and kind of exposed a little bit of what their weaknesses were. Spain or Mexico and England had an incredible game. England pulls that one out after a late goal. Man, that was a good game to watch at the end there. I completely just forgot we were traveling back and completely forgot the game was even on. So I didn't get to watch the full game, but got to catch the last 25, 30 minutes of it. And then yesterday, Spain versus Portugal. Portugal was playing a really good game to keep up with Spain. Spain, you could just tell the way that they moved the ball, the way that they were able to control their pace and their touches, their crosses. Everything was so crisp and perfect. Portugal lost their best defender during the game, got hurt. He was the guy that was matched up with Yamal for Spain and was doing a really good job on him. And not saying that he was the reason they lost is him going down, but they get a goal in the 91st minute. Spain does, and unfortunately Portugal cannot push forward and score anymore. Cristiano Ronaldo finishes his last ever World Cup, unfortunately, for Portugal, so that was sad to see. Neymar losing to Norway as well, and his last time in the World Cup most likely. So a lot of these countries were tested pretty well against their opponents, and now going forward, they're going to have to, play some better countries. The last two games today, Argentina and Egypt, and Switzerland and Colombia. But then the quarterfinals, like I said, start on Thursday. France and Morocco, the first game. Spain and Belgium, Norway and England, and then obviously the winners of those two games that are today. We're getting down to the really good teams with the big names. I'm cheering for Norway the rest of the way. I've mentioned it before on this podcast that I'm a Holland guy, so I'm gonna root for Norway as long as they're still in it. So that's a wrap on the U.S. World Cup experience. We're still going to cover it and still talk about it, obviously, because it's the biggest thing in the world right now. But unfortunately, the U.S. was not able to reach the round of 16, the quarterfinals this time around. But steady improvement over the years here for this team, and hopefully the next time we meet again, either in the 2028 Olympics or in the 2030 World Cup, we're looking at a much better team than we were able to see this time even. But now that we've talked about the World Cup, talk about the thing that's taken over the world, let's talk about something that has taken over the American sphere and the Canadian sphere even as well, dealing with the NBA, free agency, trades, summer league. Let's talk about it all real quick. Last time we talked was last Monday or last Tuesday, and the LeBron James situation has come to light, and he is asked out, or not asked out. He is going into free agency. Kawhi Leonard was traded to the Clippers for Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick. Or Kawhi Leonard was traded from the Clippers to the Raptors to go back home. We've got all that talked about on our short form content, but let's talk about the biggest thing that might have happened and the most shocking thing in the Jaylen Brown trade. I know it's been a week now, so we're a week removed from the incident, or I don't want to say the incident, but from the transaction taking place. It's become official as the league year started yesterday on Monday. So you're going to see all these deals start to kind of become official, like the Giannis one just became official yesterday. But Jaylen Brown traded from the Boston Celtics to the Philadelphia 76ers out of nowhere. What a shock trade that was. I was walking through Nordstrom Rack, and I pulled my phone out, and there it is on my phone. Could not believe what I was seeing. Jaylen Brown for Paul George, 2 first-round picks, which are in 2028, and a first-round pick that has the chance to convey into a swap, depending on the placement, and then an unprotected 2031 first-round pick from Philadelphia and 2 second-round picks. I can't remember if I said alongside Paul George or not, but if you were Philly, what a steal. You go to your rival in conference, a team that you've matched up against in the playoffs and in the regular season and for years and years now, and consider yourself rivals with them, and you steal one of their top 2 players in Jaylen Brown. And now you've created a team of Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, Dominic Barlow / Dean Wade / maybe LeBron James, who knows at this point, and then Joel Embiid. And now you're building this team that instantly in the Eastern Conference, which is kind of wide open but starting to get better, you pull yourself away as the favorite. And then Philly goes and signs Anthony Simons for a 2-year deal for around $12 million total. That's a guy that comes off the bench and can get 15 a night for you. Caleb Love is on a 2-way, had a really good rookie season with the Trailblazers. So you're now building this depth. You drafted LeBaron Philon. As I mentioned, the Dean Wade signing. You've got a little bit of depth here for this team that you're building around your superstars in this league. And I really love what Elton Brand has done since taking over as GM of the Philadelphia 76ers. Have just come in here, recognize like we need a guy instead of Paul George that's going to be an impact for this team, because Paul George we can't rely on at his older age, unfortunately. We need to go get a guy. Oh, you're going to give us a guy? We'll take that very much. And from the Boston side, Brad Stevens, I don't really know. He talked about it yesterday, saying, we are living in a time now in the NBA where, your 2 players cannot take up 70% of your cap, which is very, very true. And he's not wrong from that standpoint. That's an egregious thing to have at this time in the NBA. But through the CBA, you have to make adjustments, and you have to construct your lineup a little bit better. We saw Boston when they won the title. They used the opportunities of having guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum already on your hometown contracts to trade for guys like Derek White and extend him, Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, and we're able to keep those guys there and build that team how it was and kind of go all in. Now you're seeing Philly do the exact same thing with what the roster they have now is. And now Boston's realizing, okay, we got to scale back a little bit from a financial standpoint. You get a guy, Paul George, who is still making $50 million. You don't know what he's going to be able to contribute to this team as. It's not going to be Jaylen Brown level. I can guarantee you that no matter what. Paul George is not 2018 Paul George. He can't do the same thing he was when he was getting MVP votes. But it's not like he's not going to make an impact. It's just not Jaylen Brown. And I fail to believe that there were not better options out there than this package with the 76ers, and even more so trading with the 76ers. It's just it's a wild thing to see happen. Boston ended up signing Mitchell Robinson from the New York Knicks. He was a NBA champion, was a massive, massive player for that team, getting a bunch of offensive rebounds, especially in that Game 5, that closeout game, or Game 5, Game 6. I forget at this point, but Game 5 when they closed it out, he was getting big offensive rebounds at the end of the game, so they signed him for what is it, three for $47 million. They re-signed Neemias Queta, who they brought in over from Sacramento on a small deal to be able to be a rotational big, and had a breakout year this last year. They signed him to a contract extension for 4 years, $56 million. They're bringing Mike Conley on a 1-year deal. So before Jaylen Brown was ever traded, you were starting to build a little bit of a foundation as a team here. And then you trade Jaylen Brown, and now you've opened up a little bit more cap space. You're under the tax. Now Paul George declined his trade kicker, which I think saved Boston like $4 or $5 million, and maybe even more. But then obviously opens up a little bit of a trade exception in there as well to be able to make up the difference between the two contracts to go and get another guy if you'd like to. So I don't really know what Boston is trying to do from here. Sounds like they're high on Peyton Pritchard. They like Derek White a lot still. I still do too as well. So, I mean, are you looking at Pritchard, White, George, Tatum, and Queta or Robinson? But then your bench is Sam Hauser and maybe Mike Conley or Ron Harper Jr., Queta, Robinson, Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman. Like if Hugo Gonzalez, who they covet him like he's Luka Doncic, so we'll see what he turns out to be. I wasn't as high on him in the draft process, but you never know with some of those overseas guys as the years develop. But if you're Boston, I don't really know what you do from here to make your team better this season, especially when you have a contract like Paul George is there, that no team's just going to be willing to take on a $50 million Paul George contract. So we'll see what that all shapes out to be. But I know this, and that's Philly has hit a home run in this free agency period by making that trade. Other big deals, the Los Angeles Lakers, we talked about it on my TikTok. They went on a flurry. I believe it was like Wednesday morning. They just woke up and Rob Pelinka picked up the phone and was like, you know what? I think today I'm going to just do everything I want, and we're going to stop right there. They started out with Walker Kessler in a sign and trade with the Utah Jazz, 4 years, $130 million to be their franchise center next to Luka Doncic. Knowing now that LeBron James is gone, you extended Austin Reeves, you got Luka. We got to go get Luka, a big man, outside of DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes. They do that in Walker Kessler. Quite a bit of an overpay, maybe financially, but especially in a sign and trade. They give away 2 first-round picks and then 2 swaps on top of it. Danny Ainge is doing Danny Ainge things for the Utah Jazz. He's been doing it forever. So good on the Jazz there to get very, very, very good value for Walker Kessler. We'll see how that kind of shapes out for their roster with their big men situation. But for the Lakers, right after, they signed Sandro Mamu Kavachale from the Toronto Raptors, who had a really good year last year. 4 years, $52 million. Might be a little bit of an overpay there. They also get Quentin Grimes, 4 years, $60 million. Colin Sexton at 2 years and $19 million. And now this Lakers team turns from the old era of LeBron and Hachimura and all these different guys to now Luka, Austin Reeves, Quentin Grimes probably is your 3, maybe Mamu is your 4, Kessler the 5, but then you also got Colin Sexton. You got Colin Sexton off the bench. Dalton Knecht can still play a little bit. You drafted Cam Carr. We'll talk about him in a minute. You've got these guys as a rotation now kind of to build a little bit more depth than what you had before. And I kind of like where LA was going here, but I still don't think it's enough. I really don't. I don't know what LA is going to be. Whenever you have Luka on the court, it's automatically going to be a good team and an impactful team. But to the extent of what they will be is to be determined. Some other moves that happened: Tobias Harris signs with the San Antonio Spurs. We talked about it after the finals with the Spurs and what they needed. They needed a 4 that could take the brunt off of Wembanyama. They opted to go a little different here and get a guy in Tobias Harris who, for the Detroit Pistons last year, was a great veteran presence, was an impactful player, and hopeful for the Spurs. They're hoping he can come in at this value and have the same impact of, hey, we need to do things this way. We can win this way. We have to play this way. Like, I think Tobias Harris is an impactful person to bring onto this roster. And he could play the 4, and the Spurs seem to like the smaller lineup around Wembanyama, letting him be the core guy in the middle at 7'4", and kind of let your tallest guy be 6'8", 6'9", maybe. They extended Champagnie, so we'll see what the Spurs kind of have with this. I don't think they're done yet. I still see a world where De'Aaron Fox is traded somewhere, and they get another guy that plays the 4 actually alongside of Victor Wembanyama to allow Dylan Harper to start. Hometown news: Santi Aldama traded to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for some second-round picks and a first-round pick that could be conveyed to a second-round pick if it lands inside the top 20 from the Warriors. They needed to clear the cap up, and they traded for Isaiah Stewart. I assume that's all going to be in one big deal now to swap the contracts. They have an offer sheet out right now for Quentin Post from the Warriors, 3 years, $30 million. Only 1 year in the first year is guaranteed, so it's essentially a 1 year, $9.5 million contract that you can get off the books if he's not good for you. And if he's good for you, then you've got a great contract for a backup big man going forward. Tari Eason re-signs with the Houston Rockets at 5 years, $81.5 million. They traded Dorian Finney-Smith to the Charlotte Hornets in, I guess, just to be able to clear up the money for Tari Eason to come back. Good 3, I don't even say 3-and-D guy, but really good defender, developing offensive guy, still trying to find his role. I liked him at LSU, so I assume now with getting paid, he's going to find his role. He did turn down $100 million last offseason and now is settling for 81. So bad part on his agent for that one, but I'm sure more things will come out from that. DeAndre Ayton traded from the Lakers. They lose one of their bigs. He's going to the Washington Wizards of all places. So the Wizards now have a big man group of Alex Sarr, Anthony Davis, and DeAndre Ayton now to kind of work with. And it's like, okay, now you've got a little bit of a rotation here to build around at the center position. And then just a few minutes ago, or I guess a little longer than a few minutes ago now, Donovan Mitchell extends his contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers at 4 years, $273 million with a player option in 2030 and 2031, which includes a full trade kicker, which basically means he gets more money if he gets traded. That's a big-time contract for Donovan Mitchell, and I mean, obviously, if you're the Cavs, you made a big investment in him. You're going to want to keep him around. We'll see how they continue to build this team. If LeBron James goes to Cleveland, maybe that's why Donovan Mitchell knew that this was going to be the case, because it's like, hey, we're probably going to get LeBron. James Harden's probably going to kind of come back as well. So, you know, if LeBron does go to Cleveland, is James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, LeBron James, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen enough to win this year? It's definitely LeBron's best shot out of any of the teams that he prefers to go to, being Golden State, Miami, and Cleveland. It's probably the best overall roster that he could join, unless, you know, Philly is really like a realistic option for him to go to. Then this is probably LeBron's best roster that he can find in free agency to be able to finish off his career, and it's even better for him to ride off into the sunset with the Cavs too. So, congrats to Donovan Mitchell on getting that money. It's a lot of money. So we'll see where that kind of goes in the next few years, and if he stays in Cleveland or is traded elsewhere to kind of reset once they realize that the money is a lot and the pieces that they have aren't fully capable of winning together. As we've seen the past 4 years now, they've gotten rid of Garland, and I assume guys like Jared Allen will be next before they get rid of Mobley and Mitchell. So we'll see how that goes, but the rest of the NBA is starting to transition into the Summer League portion. There were 2 pre-Vegas Summer League tournaments. I guess I don't want to say tournaments, but the California Classic and the Salt Lake City Classic. They feature like 6 teams each. I know the Salt Lake City one is 4. I think the California one is 6 teams. We talked about it on my TikTok and YouTube shorts about the best players to watch for each of those teams. We'll have another TikTok coming out before the actual Summer League starts to kind of go over, the players to watch on the rest of the teams as we go forward. But, man, it's been a lot of fun to watch some of these guys. We've gotten to see guys like Darius Acuff, the highs and lows with him. Braden Burries faced off against him last night. Got to see him play. We got to see Yaxel Lindenborg had an amazing first game. Who else? We got Ryan Conwell was shining for the Miami Heat in the Summer League so far. Go over to Salt Lake City. We got to see Ade Mara make his debut and Bennett Sturts as well. We've gotten to look at Kingston Flemings, who kind of had a rough first game but is picking some things back up a little bit. And the 2 biggest highlights to talk about, obviously, I'll be biased with my own team in the Memphis Grizzlies, but we got to talk about Darren Peterson, man. And I said it on this podcast. I've said it to people to their face. Everyone wants to question, Peterson sat out of games at Kansas. He pulled himself out of games. He's got an attitude problem. He's got an ego. He doesn't care about basketball. Guess what? Every single time that was brought up in the pre-draft process, my answer was always, I guarantee you this. If Darren Peterson was a prospect in the same sphere, but the year was 2002, Darren Peterson would have never went to Kansas. Darren Peterson would have went straight to the NBA. Because I promise you, Darren Peterson did not care about going to college whatsoever. Darren Peterson's mindset was not, I'm going to go win a national championship. I'm going to go win National Player of the Year. No, I'm going to go and get drafted into the NBA so that my real career starts. That's what his mindset was. I've always said it. It was the exact same thing as Anthony Edwards. Didn't give a crap at Georgia. Always played way better than anybody expected to and has become the superstar that he is. It's the same thing with Darren Peterson. People want to question everything about him, his cramping issues. I didn't care because you could see obviously what the situation was. People were just so naive to believe this narrative about Peterson and all the negative things. But you can go back to this podcast, and I've talked about it before. And you can even look at my website. Darren Peterson is going to be a superstar in this league. Darren Peterson has shown the flashes already against NBA defenders that he is a superstar, averaging 25 in the 2 games that he played in the Summer League. He was making ridiculous shots. It was the tempo he played at, the shot creation, the shot making ability that he had, even his defensive impact a lot of the time was very, very impressive. We all knew how good he was going to be, but it was kind of more of a, okay, we'll see how he reacts to a new environment. And it didn't matter to him. It's just a ball in the hand and a hoop in front of you to him. So I'm not surprised whatsoever with Darren Peterson and his play at all for the Utah Jazz. It's kind of proven his haters wrong. I know it's Summer League, but Summer League is the best time for overreactions. And then his counterpart in the NBA draft, who was drafted right after him, Cam Boozer, is looking like a 10-year NBA vet already. He is so poised. He makes incredible reads. He knows where he is on the floor. He knows where everyone else is on the floor. He knows the perfect time to put the ball on the ground, to keep the ball high, to pass the ball, whether the drive or the pull back and shoot. It's very, very, very impressive to see a kid like this at 18 years old that processes the game at such a high level so fast that players that are in their 10th year in the NBA still can't even do sometimes. He's scored at all three levels, has been able to finish above and around the rim, worked back to the basket in the post, has hit threes really well. I think it was 4 for 6 from 3 last night. Like, it was unbelievable to see. People question about his shooting, by the way. Like, he wasn't a 40% three-point shooter in college. Missed me with that. But he, and defensively, sure, there were times where he faced a little bit of a bigger body and struggled a little bit, but he still held his own enough for me to come out of this meaning like, oh, well, he's clearing away the best player on this Grizzlies team. And he looked amazing. Cedric Howard looked amazing for the Grizzlies. Javon Small had some breakouts moments. Omax Prosper was great. Taylor Hendricks was great. Jemai Meshack looked really good as well. So we didn't get to see Kareem Lopez and Walter Clayton Jr. in Salt Lake City. I assume we'll probably see them in Vegas at some point. But the overall Summer League message is Cam Boozer and Darren Peterson are exactly the guys that we expected and thought they were. And I cannot wait to get to Summer League in Vegas to see what DeBansta is going to be able to do. We got to see Michael Brown a little bit last night, but we'll get to see Keaton Wagler at Summer League in Vegas and other guys that were around and inside the lottery of exciting guys to be able to watch. And it all kicks off on Thursday starting off, and that game that night will be the Jazz versus the Wizards to watch. Friday night will be the Bulls and Grizzlies between Wilson and Boozer. So, yeah, that's the Summer League. That's what's going on there. It's a lot of excitement. Again, for a lot of the stuff that I talk about with this team, or with the team, which each team and some of the players, you can find a lot of that short-form content on my TikTok. We'll be talking about things as they break down and going over the overall stuff here in the podcast episodes. We'll round this off real quick with the MLB, and they are just about to get to the All Star break. They just announced the MLB All Star game starters. I'll go over quickly with you those guys. For the American League, Shea Langeliers from the Oakland A's is having a breakout year. A lot of pop from the bat. Vladimir Guerrero Jr., don't even get me started. We talked about it I think it was last episode, about the Blue Jays fan voting. He gets the start. He probably won't play. Ernie Clement, deservingly second baseman for the American League All-Star team. Junior Caminero, breakout year. I think he's leading the league in home runs right now. If not, he's in the top 3 at third base. Shortstop Bobby Witt Jr. from the Royals. Outfield Mike Trout probably won't play if I had to guess. Byron Buxton from the Twins. Aaron Judge won't play from the Yankees. And Yordan Alvarez as the DH. And from the National League, Drake Baldwin in his first All-Star game as the catcher of the Braves. Freddie Freeman, obviously of the Dodgers. Ozzie Albies of the Braves at second base. Max Muncy, the third baseman from the Dodgers. C.J. Abrams, having a breakout year for the Nationals, is going to be one of the hot names to watch at the trade deadline. He's starting in his second consecutive All-Star game at shortstop. Brandon Marsh in his first All-Star game, being the hometown representative for the Philadelphia Phillies, as the All-Star game is in Philadelphia. Juan Soto from the Mets, and Andy Pajes in his first All-Star selection for the outfield for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and then obviously Shohei Ohtani as the designated hitter. A lot of guys were picked as pitchers from the American League. I assume the starter will be Cam Schlittler from the New York Yankees in his first All-Star game. He's probably the guy. Him or Dylan Cease are going to be the guy that start this game, I assume. Cease from Toronto. And then for the National League, I would assume it's Christopher Sanchez being the guy to start in Philadelphia. That would be my guess. But If not, obviously Paul Skeens and Jacob Mizorowski are the two guys to pick there. Quickly about some of the guys who got snubbed. Again, with the MLB All Star game, the injury replacements and guys opting out is very, very common. But for my Red Sox, Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras, both having phenomenal years. I assume they'll be announced as replacements here pretty soon for the American League at some point. And Davis Martin, a pitcher from the Chicago White Sox, is having a great year for the surprising breakout White Sox. And in the National League, Bryce Terang, second baseman for the Brewers, having a really good year as well. But a loaded infield for the National League unfortunately knocked him out a little bit. Justin Robleski from the Dodgers has had a really good year as well. Again, I think he'll find his way in when the guy opts out. And same thing with Kyle Henderson, who is unbelievable for the Milwaukee Brewers. He deserves to be an all-star as well, but another case of good chance that somebody opts out or is sitting out due to injury, and they'll find their way into the team. So the All-Star game will be next Tuesday with the Home Run Derby on Monday. We are 100% going to be doing an episode later this week to talk about the Home Run Derby because that's obviously the most exciting thing. We'll talk about the Home Run Derby, we'll talk about the All-Star game for the MLB. We'll talk about the rest of the Summer League and the rest of the World Cup stuff that's going on. And if any football news happens to break while we are waiting for the preseason to start and for college-wise for kids to come back on campus, then we will talk about it. But until then, I appreciate you guys all for listening. Again, follow me on all my socials at Your Sports Digest, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. YouTube is Your Sports Digest as well. Share this with a friend. Share this with somebody you know that loves sports or is interested in wanting to hear and get to know more about sports. Send them my way because this is a good place to be to get all your news and information for people that don't get to keep up with everything. And then we get to have great conversations about some of the stuff that we get to all watch together. But until I see you guys again later this week, have a good rest of your week. And you just got your Sports Digest.